Dodgers. He's watching it from his couch. He literally lives 3 miles away from Minute Maid Park. And he said sitting on that couch, and it was a bittersweet moment. You know, he grew up with the Springers and the Correas. And their goal was to one day, the 3 of them, you know, and the other talent that was coming up, to do exactly what they did last, you know, October. And it was at that very moment that Marco Pell made the realization he is done with baseball at the age of 26. Like I said, drafted number 1 overall in the MLB draft in 2013. Sports Illustrated in 2014, they actually had a picture on the front of their magazine with him, Correa, and Springer. And they predicted that the Astros would win the World Series in the year 2017 with these 3 kids leading the way. Now, you can go check it out. It's, you know, go to your Google machine, check it out. Now, he was supposed to be a centerpiece in the rebuild, you know, like the Joel Embiid of the Astros. You feel me? They chose him 1 selection ahead of Chris Bryant, whom they agonized over. And Chicago did not agonize, and they acted. And he was taking 30 picks ahead of Aaron Judge. He's a Stanford graduate. They signed him to a $6.35 million bonus. Second year, posted a 2.2 in his senior year. In his senior year, he posted a 2.12 ERA, struck out 130 batters, and walked just 23 batters in 106 innings pitched. So he's coming out of Stanford. He's a blue blood. He's a number 1 overall. I talked about this when Chipper Jones went in to the Hall of Fame, you know. Chipper Jones, number 1 overall, goes into the Hall of Fame. You know, blue blood. He lived up to the expectations. Mark Apple did not. Now, at the time of that selection, Astros GM Jeff Lunau called him the most significant investment that the Astros have ever made in an amateur player. And most evaluators, you know, headsy kind of baseball scout guys, they expected his rise through the rankings to be rather quick. Well, he spent 5 seasons in pro ball. He had a 5.06 ERA and a 1.52 whip. And he only got as high as AAA. Now, should he never return to the game of baseball? And, you know, this is it. He's sitting on the couch. He's watching his boys. And he's feeling good for him. But he's also, you know, the kid's very emotional. I mean, as I'm reading about him, he's the kind of kid that would get taken out of a ball game, go into the locker room, and just throw baseballs through the panel walls. And then come in the next day and replace them. I mean, serious. No joke. Real story. But should he never return to the game of baseball, he would become only the 3rd number 1 overall baseball pick in the MLB draft to never make the pros. He would join Brian Taylor of the Yankees in 1991 and Steve Chilcott of the Mets in 1966. He's currently rehabbing a shoulder injury, but he dealt with, you know, nagging injuries throughout his career. Now, in 2015, the Phillies, they traded Ken Giles for Apple and like 4 other prospects. And really, many thought that Filthy won that deal at the time. You know, they were looking at the return on those prospects, and Mark Apple being one of them. And a lot of the insiders had actually thought that the Philadelphia Phillies had made out on that. And the funny behind-the-scenes story about that is the Phillies had actually inquired about Derek Fisher. But there was another prospect involved in that deal, of Vince Velasquez. And he had a history of arm trouble. So the Phillies wanted to protect their investment, hedge their bet there a little bit, and they decided to get another pitcher. They decided to take Mark Apple in the deal instead of Derek Fisher. So they sent Gonzalez, and everybody thinks, they're sending this guy here, and he doesn't have much of a future. Well, Ken Giles has got a World Series ring now. And the sad thing is really that Apple now stands on the precipice of being, like a footnote in history, a trivia question, if you will. And it's just sad, But look, he's only 26. He's a Stanford graduate. And he's still very young. And he's got his future in front of him. So, Mark Appel, it didn't really work for you in the major leagues. I hope you go on and find happiness in your life. But I just found that story really interesting. Number 1 overall pick, only the third number 1 pick in the history of the game to not make the major leagues. And we're talking about Brian Taylor, which, many consider him the biggest bust of all time. And now, Mark Apple is right there with him. And you're also talking about Steve Chilcott of the Mets in 1966. So I don't know. I just thought that was a crazy little story. I wanted to get that out there, and I mean, that's just crazy. Insane. Number 1 pick doesn't make the majors. Unbelievable. Now, if you listened to the show last week, you realize that I started a free agent list, lineups, rotation, all the players left on the free agent market. And I started a 2018 all free agent team. Now, obviously, there's going to be some changes to that lineup and rotation this week, right? And we're going to touch on these moves. But I do think it's interesting. As soon as I start doing this free agent lineup, players start getting signed. I should have started this weeks ago, months ago. I'm sorry. I apologize. So last week on my 2018 free agent market team, I had Ichiro at center, Neil Walker at second, Mike Moustakas at third, JD Martinez batting cleanup in left field, Eric Hosmer at first base, Jonathan Lucroy at catcher, Joey Bats right field, and Eduardo Nunez at short. Now, obviously, JD and Nunez signed with the Boston Red Sox. We're going to dig into that. Eric Hosmer goes to San Diego. We're going to dig into that, of course. But now we're going to find spots for those 3 guys, right? Okay, well, I came up with it now, and I told you this is going to change every week until every single one. And look, my boy Jim Chalmers out of Sarasota, Florida, he's giving me my free agent numbers, pretty much daily now. And at last count, we were down to 94 players still left on the market. So between him keeping count and me keeping the lineups, we're going to know when all these guys are down. So the new 2017 free agent lineup goes as such. Ichiro Suzuki in center field. Neil Walker at second base. I moved Jonathan Lucroy up to the third spot, and he's the catcher. Batting cleanup, Mike Moustakas, third base. Now, batting fifth, Logan Morrison. Last year earned $2.5 million from the Rays. 8-year veteran, 29 years old. Last year hit a career high 38 dongs. Drove in a career high 85 runs and scored a career high of 75 runs. His slash line last year was 246, 353, and 516. So he's my new number 5 hitter. Batting 6th, Joey Bats in right field. Batting 7th, New guy, Jason Worth, left fielder. Last year made $21 million from the district Nats. 38 years old, 15-year vet. Sounds like a San Francisco Giant there, right? 38 years old, 15-year vet. I'm surprised they haven't jumped on him. I'm going to talk about the Giants and Mikey Franks a little bit, too. Missed 92 games last year. Numbers down across the board. Now, his healthy seasons since he's been in Washington have been few and far between. Since he relocated to PG County from Filthy, he just never plays a full season. I don't think he's ever played 160 games ever in Washington. He's got a career slash line of 267, 360, 455, 1,465 hits, 229 home runs, and 799 RBIs. So he's my new 7th hitter. My new 8th hitter, Eric Ibar. Last year he made $1.75 million from the Padres. 12-year vet, 33 years old. 2011 Gold Glove, 2014 All-Star. A career slash line of 271, 313, 372. To go with 1,402 hits and 155 stolen bags. Now, my boy, like I said, Jim Chalmers out of Sarasota, Florida. He's giving me the count, and he assured me that my lineup is only going to be batting 240 at this point. Well, I did the math. I took my gloves off, I took my socks off, and I proceeded to add with, my fingers and toes, and I came up with the, my current team, their slash line is, as a team, that lineup, 269 batting average, 339 OBP, and a 430 slugging. So, look, players are coming off, thank God. Spring training is only underway. Mike Moustakas is still out there. Once you get him down, let's go. Let's play. Somebody take this guy though. What's going on? So that's my new batting lineup. Now, the new rotation for the 2017 all free agent team left on the market. Last week I had Jake Arrieta, Lance Lynn, Alex Cobb, Jason Vargas, and Andrew Cashner in my 5-man rotation. Now, Vargas goes to the Mets. Cashner goes to the Orioles. We'll cover both of those. But now I've got to make room for those two guys in my rotation. So I'm still going to keep Arrieta, Lynn, and Cobb. And in that 4-hole, I guess, it's getting slim at pitching. I'm not even going to lie to you. It's getting tough. You're splitting hairs between the bums and the mediocre. In that 4-hole, I took Jeremy Hellickson last year. Made $17.2 million from the Baltimore Orioles. Split time between the Orioles and the Phils. 8-year vet, 30 years old. He's been on 4 teams. I told you a couple weeks ago, if he ain't got his changeup working, he ain't got his slider working, if he can't get the feel for those pitches, he's never going to go back to what he was. It's over. But you're still holding on to the chance that he can catch those 2 pitches back. If he has the changeup and the slider going, he's certainly a dangerous pitcher. Last year he went 8-11, 5.43 ERA. And that was between the O's and the Phils. 2 of the more pitching-starved teams last year. In that 5-hole, it gets no better. I'm putting Matt Garza there. Last year, $12.5 million from Milwaukee. He's, look. I'm not so much down on Garza as I am on Hellickson. Garza has a 4.09 in over 1,700 career innings. He averages 203 innings a pitched a year. And he's got an ERA plus of 101. So, look,